शत श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती शिल प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्रीमद् भागवतम महापुराण की all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. ना 15 15 से 25 तक जाना है 10 श्लोक। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। तो आज हम पढ़ रहे हैं श्रीमद् भागवतम Canto 10, Chapter 23. The Brahmana's wives blessed. Text 15. तो So we'll chant last verse. We'll go till last. Text 15. We'll chant together. You can repeat the 25th verse. We'll go till that and then. गत्वाथ पत्नी शालायां दृष्ट्वा सीनां स्वलङ्कृताः नत्वा द्विजसतिर्गोपा प्रश्रिता इदमब्रुवन्. The cowherd boys then went to the house where the Brahmana's wives were staying. There the boys saw those chaste ladies sitting, nicely decorated with fine ornaments. Bowing down to the Brahmana ladies, the boys addressed them in all humility. Namo vo viprapatnibhyo nibodhata vachansinah ito vidure charatam krishne nehe shitavayam. The cowherd boys said, obeisances unto you, O wives of the learned Brahmanas. Kindly hear our words. We have been sent here by Lord Krishna, who is passing by not far from here. Gascharayan sagopalai saramo duramagataha vibhukshitasya tasyannam sanugasya pradiyatam. He has come a long way with the cowherd boys and Lord Balaram tending the cows. Now he is hungry, so some food should be given for him and his companions. Shutvachutamupayatam nityam taddarshanotsukaha tatkatha kshipta manaso babhurjata sambhrama. The wives of the Brahmanas were always eager to see Krishna, for their minds had been enchanted by descriptions of him. Thus, as soon as they heard that he has come, they become very excited. Chaturvidham bhaugunamannamādāya bhājanai abhisasru priyam sarvāha samudramiva nigmnagaha. Taking along in large vessels the 4 kinds of foods full of fine tastes and aromas, all the ladies went forth to meet their beloved, just as rivers flow towards the sea. Nishiddhamana patibhir bhratrubhir bandhubhi sutai bhagavatyuttama shloke dirghashruta dhrutashaya yamunopavane shokan vanapallavamandite vicharantam vrutam gopai sagrajam dadrushu shriyah. Although their husbands, brothers, sons, and other relatives tried to forbid them from going, their hope of seeing Krishna, cultivated by extensive hearing of his transcendental qualities, won out. Along the river Yamuna, within a garden decorated with buds of Ashoka tree, they caught sight of him strolling along in the company of cowherd boys and his elder brother Balaram. Shamam hiranya parighim vanamalya barha dhatu pravala natavesha manuvratanse vinyasta hastamitarena dhunanumabjam karnotpalalaka kapola mukhabjahasam. His complexion was dark blue and his garment golden, wearing a peacock feather, colored minerals, sprigs of flower buds, and a garland of forest flower and leaves. He was dressed just like a dramatic dancer. He rested one hand upon the shoulder of a friend and with the other twirled a lotus. Lilies graced his ears, his hair hung down over his cheeks, and his lotus-like face was smiling. Praya Shruta Priyamat Doyaka Karna Purair Yasmin Nimagna Manasas Tamatha Kshirandhrai Antah Pravesha Suchiram Parirabhyatapam Pradnyam Yatha Bhimatayo Vijahu Narendra. O ruler of men, for a long time those Brahmana ladies had heard about Krishna, their beloved, and his glories had become the constant ornament of their ears. Indeed, their minds were always absorbed in him. Through the aperture of their eyes, they now forced him to enter within their hearts, and then they embraced him within for a long time. In this way, they finally gave up the pain of separation from him. Just as sages give up the anxiety of false ego by embracing their innermost consciousness. Tastatha tyakta sarvasha prapta atma didrukshaya vidnyaya khila drushta prahasita nanaha. Lord Krishna, who witnessed the thoughts of all creatures, understood how those ladies had abandoned all worldly hopes and come here simply to see him. Thus he addressed them as follows with a smile upon his face. So you all please can repeat this. Text 25. Swagatam vo mahabhaga asyatam karavamakim yanno didrukshaya prapta upapannam idam hivaha. Swagatam vo mahabhaga asyatam karavamakim yanno didrukshaya prapta upapannam idam hivaha. Swagatam vo mahabhaga asyatam karavamakim yanno didrukshaya prapta upapannam idam hivaha. स्वागतं वो महाभागा आस्यतां करवाम किम् यन्नो दिदृक्षया प्राप्ता उपपन्न इदं हि वः स्वागतं वो महाभागा आस्यतां करवाम किम् यन्नो दिदृक्षया प्राप्ता उपपन्नम् इदं हि वः स्वागतं वो महाभागा अस्यतां करवाम किम् यन्नो दिदृक्षया प्राप्ता उपपन्नम् इदं हि वः स्वागतं वो महाभागा अस्यां करवाम किम् यन्नो दिदृक्षया प्राप्ता उपपन्नम् माताजी स्वागतं वो महाभागा अस्यतां करवाम किम् यन्नो दिदृक्षया प्राप्ता उपपन्नम् इदं हि वः word to word translation suagatam auspicious welcome vaha for you mahabhagah O fortunate ladies asyatam please come sit karavama I can do kim what yat because naha us didrukshaya with the desire of seeing praptaha you have come upapannam fitting idam this he certainly vaha on your part. Translation. Lord Krishna said, welcome, O most fortunate ladies. Please sit down and make yourself comfortable. What can I do for you? That you have come here to see me is most appropriate. Purport. Just as Sri Krishna welcomed the gopis who came to dance with him at night, he similarly welcomed the Brahmanas' wives, whose pure love for him was proved by their overcoming many hindrances to see the Lord. The word upapannam indicates that although the ladies had rejected their husbands' orders, their behavior was not at all inappropriate, since their husbands had obviously tried to obstruct their loving service to Lord Krishna. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमा ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेम कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So to start with, I would like to take the blessings of all the senior devotees and all of you so that we can discuss about this Srimad Bhagavatam, 23rd chapter, the Brahmana's wives blessed. So here, because the purports are not there, that's how we are covering almost 10 shlokas. As we know that the incidence is this, that Brahmana's wives are now told by the coward boys that Krishna and Balaram, they are very close and they are hungry also. In last few sessions we had seen that how the coward boys were sent by Krishna to the Brahmins who were doing the yajna and many other things. But then they were almost neglected by the Brahmanas. Although they tried their best to get some food, some prasad offered to the yajna, but then the Brahmanas did not pay any heed. They just didn't say anything. So very morose, all the coward boys, they came back. Krishna, Balaram, they pacified them. They said, no problem. He said, then you can go back again. But this time you please go to the Brahman Patnis, because they are very great devotees. They will not let you come empty-handed. So then the coward boys, by the order of Krishna and Balaram, they came to Brahman Patnis, and then they asked for some prasadam for Krishna and Balaram. So when they were asking, we can see here that they were so enthusiastic, they were so thrilled to hear that Krishna has come very close, and they collected whatever they can, and then they rushed to see Krishna, serve Krishna. But we see that when they were going, their husband, their relatives, they restricted them. They said, no, you cannot go. And this was similar situation like gopis. The way the gopis were also restricted by their relatives. So here also same thing happened, but very nicely Bhagavatam describes here that निषिद्धमाना परिपतिभिर भ्रातुभि बंधुभि सुतै भगवत्युत्तम श्लोके दीर्घश्रुत धृताशया. So here in the 20th shloka, it is, although their husband, brothers, sons and other relatives tried to forbid them from going, their hope of seeing Krishna, cultivated by extensive hearing of his transcendental qualities, won out. So we see that the desire to see Krishna, that comes by hearing. As here he says that because they had heard a lot about Krishna, dirgha shruta dhrutashayaha, that they had heard about the Lord for long time. There were no kathas or like that, but then they were hearing from the gopis who used to come in that area for varieties of purposes. So just by hearing from the residents of Vrindavan, they had not seen Krishna, first time they were seeing Krishna. But because they were hearing for long time, as here he says that Bhagavatyuttama shloke dirgha shruta dhrutashayaha, that Uttama shloka, who is praised with transcendental hymns, he became the companion within their heart, just because they were hearing about him. So this is the path given by the acharyas, how we see Krishna. That the most important and the first consideration in understanding, seeing and serving Krishna is hearing about Krishna. Bhagavatam also describes in second canto, when Parishit Maharaj is asking questions. So there also this same type of verse comes. Shunvata shraddhaya nityam grunatascha svacheshtitam kalena tidirghena bhagavan vishate hridi. So there also Bhagavatam says that Shunvataha shraddhaya nityam, that somebody who hears nityam, always, not one day, not once in a week, not for 7 days, saptah, or not for, he says, nityam. And Prabhupada writes about Shraddhaya, he writes word to word translation. He said Shraddhaya means with eagerness, not just hearing. Because hearing we have to do because the eyes are open. The way the eyes can be closed, but ear cannot be closed. They are always open 24/7. And whether you want or not, sound keeps going. So, in that sense, the hearing is always happening. But then, Prabhupada writes, Shraddhaya means with eagerness. So, when somebody is very eager to hear about Krishna, and for a long time, always he is hearing, nityam, grunatascha svacheshtitam. And here, Bhagavatam says that how he is doing svacheshtitam. Svacheshtitam means with personal endeavors he does it. Personal endeavor means when we are eager, then we'll put also the endeavors from our side. We don't wait for Krishna to come in our life and then manifest. Svacheshtitam means one is eager by his own activities also when he is trying to understand Krishna and serve Krishna. For example, we see that sometimes devotees, they are hearing and then they fall asleep or like that. So Chestitam means that he is very eager, that when he sees that he is falling asleep, then he gets up, so that his hearing can be enhanced. So when we are falling asleep, then we get up. One devotee was telling in one of the Bhagavatam classes, he said that the Dhruva Maharaj was standing kind of without eating anything, without drinking anything, without doing anything. He was just doing such a tapasya. So, I was telling that our tapasya is this only, that at least when we are falling asleep or we are distracted, we get up and give our ears to Krishna. So when we are doing like that, then we are swachestitam. Swachestitam means we put some endeavor from our side which pleases Krishna. Not that we just keep going on. And then he says, Kalena atidirghena. So he says that na atidirghena means it doesn't take much time. We see that Prabhupada, when he went to America, he started taking 3 times in a week classes. And very soon we see that within a year or 2, we see so many devotees becoming pakka devotees. How is that? The kind of anarthas they had, the kind of background they had, it was so deep. But still, because they heard Prabhupada, pure transcendental vibrations, na ati dirghena, that very quickly they Bhagavan Vishate Hridi, they could establish the Lord in the heart. So here also the same thing is there, that they had heard about the Lord, and then here Bhagavatam says that he says that their hope of seeing Krishna, cultivated by extensive hearing of his transcendental qualities, won out. The devotee also wins over all the obstacles posed by one's own mind, posed by other people of this world, who will restrict him from doing Krishna consciousness. And there are many such friends. They tell that what happened to you? Previously you were normal, now you have become abnormal, you have started going to temple. Then some tension comes, that really I am abnormal. And then top of that, then other relatives and others, they also kind of try to pull the leg, that if we do something material, going to the movie, going to parties, no problem, everybody accepts. But going to temple, and that also on Sunday, and then spending some time there, then that is very great concern. But then we see that such kind of things can be conquered just by hearing very attentively. So, hearing about the activities, glories, his form, his holy name, then that gives the strength for a person to take off all the such kind of distractions. Then he is not bound by anything of this world when he hears. How this transformation happened to this Brahman Patnis is because they were hearing from the gopis, they were coming there. Bilomangal Thakur writes very nicely, Vikretu kamam kila gopakanya murari padarpita chitta vritti dadhyodikam mohavashadavochat govinda damodara madhaveti. Because the gopis were so absorbed in Krishna, for them there was no other subject matter for talk. Even if they went for their daily sales practice, that they used to take the milk, curd, ghee, they will go and sell in that area. Sometimes they will go to Mathura also. So when they are taking the curd, going that dahi lelo, but then because their murari padarpita chitta vritti, because their mind and heart, they are fully focused on Murari, Krishna, they couldn't utter anything. They couldn't utter milk, curd, nothing was coming out of there. They used to just say, Govinda Damodar Madhava, nothing else. So, you can imagine when anybody who comes in touch with them also was electrified with that type of consciousness. So here also we find that Brahman Patnis also. Here one thing to understand is that Bhagavatam describes that they developed conjugal attraction for Krishna, like gopis. Because we know that the attraction to Krishna can be in different rasas. Shantaras, Dasyaras, Sakhyaras, Vatsalya, Madhurya. So here we find that these Brahman Patnis, they were attracted to Krishna with the feelings of paramour, feelings of lover. And here very nicely Bhagavatam describes that when they saw Krishna, then that was like a feast for their eyes. They were so satisfied. Shamam hiranya parighim vanamalya barha dhatu pravala natavesha manuvratanse vinyasta hastamitarena dhunanamabjam karnotpalalaka kapola mukhabjahasam. Very nice description is given that how Krishna was standing there with his dark blue complexion. His dhoti was golden, and then he was wearing peacock feather, and he had very nicely decorated his face with different color minerals, and the flower buds, and then the flower garland was hanging down his neck. And he looked like a dramatic dancer with nicely costumed, nicely decorated. And such a detailed description is given that he is resting his one hand on the shoulder of his companion. This is the pose of our Krishna Balaram Mandir in Vrindavan. So in that pose he was standing, and in one hand he was having a lotus flower, which he was twirling. And in the ears he has put some lilies, and he has very nice hairs flowing down his cheeks, and he was smiling. And then here in the verse which we saw says that Swagatam vo mahabhaga asyatam karvamakim yanno didrukshaya prapta upapannam idam hivaha. That welcome, O most fortunate ladies, please sit down and make yourself comfortable. What can I do for you? That you have come here to see me is most appropriate. So in the purport, this upapannam word is described, that upapannam means very appropriate. So, the worldly sense, it may appear that when we are coming to Krishna, leaving aside all other things of this world, giving no attention to the people of this world, for others it may look inappropriate. World may say that it is not proper when you are serving Krishna. They say that you should behave morally, you should behave honestly, you should behave rightly. Not. But then here we find that Krishna has made it clear. He says, Upapannam, that you have very nicely, your behavior is fitting, your behavior is praiseworthy. There is nothing wrong in that. So when somebody is surrendering to Krishna in whatever situation, that is always fitting, upapannam. So that's how we see that surrendering to Krishna is our above all types of morality, above all types of worldly things. So here Krishna is personally describing that it is very fitting that you have come, and then he is telling that what can I do. Same type of conversation you find when the gopis they come to meet Krishna in Ras Leela. And then there also he is acting as if like a third person without knowing what is what. They have come for him and they have come leaving aside everything. They had no desire to go back. Afterwards Krishna convinces them that no, you go back. But then they had come once and for all. It's like they had come one way only. So here we see that how just by hearing attentively, hearing enthusiastically, one can transform one's heart and he can win over all the obstacles posed by outside world. Because we find that this is what in current generation we see, that when somebody is practicing Krishna consciousness, so much of opposition is there. That because it is considered very moral when you take care of things of this world only. Person is glorified that this is very nice. But then when somebody takes to devotional service, tries spending more time with devotees and Krishna, then people accuse that this is not good. But by such acquisition, if the person is little weak-hearted, then he gets affected. But here we find that such weak heart becomes very fixed up just by hearing it. Na atidirghena, it says that very quickly such person becomes fixed, that I have to go and surrender to Krishna, like that. We see also in so many examples. We see the example of Rukmini Devi also. She had never seen Krishna till the point she married to Krishna. There also it is described that because she was hearing about Krishna, she was attracted. She gave her heart, gave her life, and Krishna came and took her away. So similarly, when we also hear and then we give ourselves to Krishna, then Krishna also comes and takes us. And today being a special day, what is there? Shivratri. So I'll speak for 5-10 minutes maybe. So as we see that our respect and our prayers to Lord Shiva, they are in connection with Krishna, because we understand that Vaishnavanam yatha Shambhu, that amongst all the Vaishnavas, Lord Shiva is prime, the best, because of his attachment and his inclination to serve Krishna in whatever situations. In the Bhagavatam, this description comes that anybody can say that, I want to see Krishna, I want to love Krishna. Prabhupada writes in the purport of this 284, Shrunotam Shraddhaya Nityam Gunatasya Suchestitam. Prabhupada writes that there are two types of devotees. One is superficial, so-called devotees who wants to see Krishna. And then Prabhupada writes about how sometimes people, they just by doing some puja, some like that, they feel that they are now ready, they are qualified. But then Prabhupada says in the purport that the qualification is this, that Shrunvata Shraddhaya Nityam. Without that qualification, there is no scope seeing Krishna. So we see here also that Lord Shiva is always engaged in hearing Krishna Katha, describing Krishna Katha, meditating on Krishna Katha. If you go in Mayapur also, there is that special deity across Jalangi. I don't know how. Next to Hari Hari is there. That how? Hansavahana. That Lord Shiva comes on riding on Hansa because he is so eager to hear Gaur Lila. So we see that all the great souls, whether it's Brahma, whether it's Lord Shiva, whether all the demigods, they are so eager to see and hear about the Lord. So here also in Vrindavan, we find that Lord Shiva is like a Dham Palak. He is the protector, Dham Rakshak. So we find that all our acharyas also, they have worshipped this Lord Shiva. We see in Chaitanya Charitamrita also, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is entering into Vrindavan, he entered through Mathura, Vishram Ghat. So there he worshipped the Bhuteshwar Mahadev, which is there in Mathura. So these four temples of Lord Shiva are considered important. There are many others, but these four are considered important, where we go and take darshan, take blessings of Lord Shiva to be fixed in our Krishna consciousness. So in Mathura there is a Bhuteshwar Mahadev, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took darshan, and then how he entered in Vrindavan. In Vrindavan we find Gopeshwar Mahadev. We sing also, na, that Jaya Jaya Gopishwara Vrindavana Madha. That we glorify Lord Shiva who stays in Vrindavan. And in Govardhan we have this Chakaleshwar Mahadev. So which Goswami was staying there? Past time is there? Sanatan Goswami was staying there in Chakaleshwar Mahadev area. And that pastime comes that he used to write, but then because there are so many mosquitoes, like the way we have now here, becomes difficult to chant, and so he was old, and then the mosquitoes were troubling too much. So then he thought that let me leave this place, Govardhan, Mansi Ganga, and then go somewhere else where no mosquitoes are there. But then the Brahmana came to him, Lord Shiva only, and told him that no, today you at least stay back. Nothing will happen now, everything will be fine. By the request of that Brahmana, he stayed back, and in meantime, Lord Shiva, who was staying there at Chakleshwar Mahadev, he summoned the in charge of all the mosquitoes, and then he told, this is the place, don't come, this is not the place for you. So from next day all the mosquitoes were gone. So this is very nice way of getting rid of mosquitoes. So then he stayed there. So we see specifically Sanatana Goswami, he had a very great attraction for Mahadev, that is Lord Shiva. You will find that wherever he stayed in Vrindavan, he will always go and take darshan of Mahadev, like that. And that's how, because their relation is like that, sometimes Lord Shiva also used to send one of the very sincere followers to Sanatana Goswami. And that's how we find that one person had come asking Parasmani. So because Lord Shiva saw that this is very sincere, So he told that, okay, you go and take association of Sanatana Goswami. So that was Chakaleshwar Mahadev. Of course, that was previously known as Chakreshwar Mahadev. 5 lingas are there. This is a Chakra Tirtha also is called as, because the Sudarshan Chakra stayed there after Govardhan pastime. So that was a Manas Ganga, just on the side of Manas Ganga. And then 4th, Lord Shiva temple which we worship is in Nandagaon, Nandeshwar Mahadev, where Nanda Maharaj used to worship. So we see that these are very ancient temples which are like Dikpal, that they are the... And we find that every Krishna temple somehow, not somehow, by Krishna's arrangement only, that you find some Lord Shiva's temple. In Jagannath Puri we find Bhuneshwar, Lingaraj. So that place was given for Lord Shiva by Krishna only, that okay, you be here and be like a guard for my dham. In Vrindavan we find this so many. And in Radha Ras Bihari, both sides, here also and there also. So Mukteshwar is here. So we find that practically wherever the Krishna temples are there, generally you will find Lord Shiva there as a dham, rakshak, or like that, Dikpal. And today is the, many times people they feel that Shivratri is the birth or appearance of Lord Shiva, but it is not. This is the marriage anniversary of Lord Shiva. That today Lord Shiva and Parvati they are wedded together. So we can imagine their wedding, because Lord Shiva is such a renounced sadhu staying in Himalayas, and Parvati, who is the in charge of the whole creation, Durga, with all her powers. So when they both are pleased, they can bless a living entity to be freed from the clutches of this material nature. So today we pray to Lord Shiva, Lord Parvati, so that we can get the desire and appropriate strength to serve Krishna. Because in this world, serving Krishna is not so easy. In Sri Chaitanya Charit Mahakavya, Murari Gupta has written this. This is Sri Shivashtakam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sang this in the glories of Lord Shiva. So there are 8 verses which talks about how Lord Shiva is very great. Out of that, some 2 shlokas we are just seeing here. So in the 5th shloka, he says, Sunu puraranjita pada padma ksharat sudha bhrutya sukha pradaya vichitra ratnau ghavibhushitaya premanamevadya haro vidhehi. That I offer my obeisances to you, that your lotus feet are adorned with the jewels, nupura, in your both lotus feet, and both of your lotus feet they are showering the mercy which brings pleasure to all your devotees. And whoever prays and offers obeisances to you, who is adorned with so many ornaments, and what is their prayer? He says, Premana mevadya harau videhi. That please bless me with the choicest blessing, and that is love of Godhead, Shuddha Prem of Lord Hari. And then he says, Sri Rama Govinda Mukunda Shaure, Sri Krishna Narayana Vasudeva, Ityadi Nama Mrutapana Matta, Bhrungadhipaya Khila Dukkha Hantare. So, Hey Sri Ram, Hey Sri Govinda, Hey Mukunda, Hey Shauri, Hey Krishna, Hey Narayan, Hey Vasudev. These are the names chanted by Lord Shiva. And by chanting these names, he becomes intoxicated like the bumblebee who is taking the honey from lotus flower. And such Lord Shiva is prayed here to finish all the material sufferings of this world. And then he says, Sri Gauri Netrotsava Mangalaya Tat Prananathaya Rasapradaya Sada Samutkantha Govinda Leela Gana Pravinaya Namostu Tubhyam. I offer my obeisances to Lord Shiva. He says here that Sri Gauri Netrotsava Mangalaya, that he is very Mangalakari, and he is Gauri Netrotsava, that he is the feast for the eyes of Sati or Parvati. Tat Prananathaya Rasapradaya, that he is the Prananath of Gauri, and he gives the Divya Rasapradaya. And then he says, Sada Samutkantha Govinda Leela, that he is very eagerly hearing about the pastime of the Lord. Gana Pravinaya Namostu Tubhyam, that he is very eager to hear and he is very eager to speak also about the pastimes of the Lord. Okay. So, any comments?
Thank you. Wonderful class. You were explaining about Shraddha. What did you say? Shraddha. Prabhupada said Shraddha means attentive hearing, something.
Shraddhaya.
Means?
Shraddhaya means generally we say with faith, but Prabhupada says with eagerness. Like that. Shraddhaya.
So this was regarding hearing, right?
Yeah, that was second chapter shloka. Shrunvata Shraddhaya Nityam.
Yeah. So you said about why hearing, because eyes sometimes close but ear is always open, something like that. Actually, source of all knowledge is ear. All knowledge acquired from ear. If there is no knowledge, then eyes can look and can say it is Sundar Chaitanya, Prabhu. But when he hears, Sundar Chaitanya can identify. You know, sugar is sweet because you have heard it. So the source of all knowledge is ear. Therefore, importance is given for hearing more, not for seeing, not for tasting or anything, but hearing.
Yeah, thank you. Chakravarti Guru.
When you mentioned this pastime which is going on, and you also spoke about hearing, in this section we see the Brahmanas, they also heard. They were living in Vrindavan. Their wives are also living in Vrindavan. So if their wives are hearing about Krishna, definitely Brahmanas are also hearing about Krishna. So why the result is so different that Brahmanas, they are well read in scriptures, they are staying in Vrindavan, hearing from bona fide sources, from pure devotees about Krishna, but their heart is not transformed. And the wives, they also heard, but their heart gets transformed. So we are also hearing on a daily basis. What is missing that our heart is not getting transformed?
It's a very important question for all of us, that what is missing. It's because if you see the Brahman Patnis and Brahmanas, they both heard from gopis, who are the topmost devotees. They are staying in Vrindavan, and that's how they are, both are special. But then we see that the Brahman Patnis, they opened their heart and then they accepted Krishna consciousness, and the Brahmanas, they didn't. So Krishna is always merciful. His mercy is like a sun given to everybody. But then one who accepts with proper heart, one who accepts respectfully, eagerly, when he accepts open-heartedly, then that can affect. Otherwise, one can be inside the water and be like a stone, doesn't absorb any water, or somebody can be like a sponge and absorb water. So here we find specifically, if we read Srimad Bhagavatam, we understand that the Brahmanas, they had two things described. One, that they had a pride of their Vedic status, that they are Brahmanas, they are very great, because they know how to chant mantras and their birth is very special. As the Kunti Devi says, that there are 4 obstacles. Which one? Janma Aishwarya Shuta Shribhir Edamana Madhapuma Naivarhati Abhidhatum Vai Tvam Akinchana Gocharam. That whenever this kind of pride is there, that I am great, with that feeling when you hear, doesn't sink in, doesn't go inside. And second thing which Bhagavatam describes, that they were very fearful of Kamsa. Brahman Patnis were not fearful of anybody. Kamsa, though, there was no question only. And that's how we see that even after their Brahman Patnis come back, and then Brahmanas are feeling that, oh, we are so useless, we lost the opportunity to serve Krishna, and our Patnis are so wonderful, they are so great devotees, vagara vagara. After knowing all these things, glorifying their wives, they didn't go and took darshan of Krishna. Bhagavatam describes, because they were very afraid of Kamsa. They thought that we'll go there and then Kamsa will see and then what will happen. So we can see that even after understanding everything, when we are still fearful of things of this world, then we are not able to capture Krishna consciousness.
Prabhuji, so fear and false ego, two things you said. How much desire, because you said Shraddhaya, Prabhupada said eagerness. So one may be, okay, I am sitting in Bhagavatam class, hearing. One is eagerness and desire to hear. So does that also play a role?
Yeah. As here Prabhupada writes, Shrunvata Shraddhaya Nityam. So that Shraddhaya, Prabhupada translates as with eagerness. So if that eagerness is not there, then also that things doesn't sink in. That's how once Guru was asked by his disciple that, for so long I am in your ashram, doing so many things, but why I have not seen Krishna? So Guru said, okay, let's go for taking bath. Then you will understand why you have not seen Krishna. And then when they went for taking bath, then he dunked him inside. He forced him under water. And he was catching his neck and putting him, and Guru was not allowing him to come out. Guru was quite powerful. So, and then he was choking. And then he couldn't understand why Guru is killing him. So when he was about to lose his breath, then Guru took him out. And then he asked, so when you are underwater, what you are thinking? He says, what thinking? I was just waiting for one puff of air. So then Guru said that when you will have that kind of eagerness for Krishna, the way you are eager now to take the air, you felt that you will die without it, then Krishna will surely appear when you have that kind of eagerness. So, yeah, thank you. Yes, Mother.
Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for a nice class. There are a lot of, any number of ISKCON devotees who are actually saying about Mahashivratri that it's birthday too and his wedding anniversary, as also every Shivling, I believe, Shivji appears this night, and that's why it's called Atri. And they quote the authenticity from some Purana, I'm not too sure. They say very clearly it's his birthday too. They emphatically said it's their anniversary, not their birthday.
Till now I have heard that it is wedding anniversary. If there are some quotes, then I don't know.
No, I mean, I don't remember, but I just heard it the other day, and they didn't quote which now, but
if it is,
it's okay.
I don't know.
I thought it was authentic because it came from our institution, but since you said it's just his birthday, it's not his birthday, very emphatically, so I was wondering.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Okay. Thank you. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki. Lord Shiva ki jai.